Hi, welcome back. This video will discuss, it's the second part of adding emphasis to your writing, and I'm going to include some pointers on what you can do to improve your writing through the use of emphatic language, positioning words differently in a sentence, etc. So if you'd like to follow along with me, this is a continuation of part 1, which was also called Adding Emphasis to Your Writing, and this is part 2 to the video. So my 8th point that I would like to mention is another way of adding emphasis to your writing is to try inverting standard order. In other words, you're going to change the positioning of words in your sentence. Now, if you want to create a different emphasis in your writing, you can vary the position of the subject of your sentence. Now, the focus of a sentence will change depending on the position of the subject and the verb of your sentence. Now, standard word order in most English sentences is the subject is first and then the verb. So that's very standard, and that's a good way to write, but sometimes you want to change that up. You will want to change the standard pattern to add variety, and therefore you will add something new to your sentence. It'll make it a little bit refreshing. So take a look at these two sentences. One is using standard order, and the next one is inverted order. In this first one, the winner ran excitedly onto the stage. So this is standard order because you're starting with the subject. This is the subject. There. Winner is the subject. And the verb is ran. So you've got the winner, subject. What's he doing? He ran is the verb. So it's very traditional standard order. But look how it's been reverted in the second sentence, inverted. Onto the stage, the winner excitedly ran. So now you're starting with this prepositional phrase, onto the stage. Now you've got your subject here, the winner, and you've got your verb here. Excitedly is an adverb. You've shifted the whole order just to add variety and a little bit of emphasis. Now I mentioned right here to not overuse this method because it'll lose its effect, but it's nice to change it up periodically and don't always start with the subject and then the verb, so change it up. I've given you a couple of other examples to show you how effective this can be. And take a look at this sentence here. The fur trappers of the old frontier were bold and self-sufficient. You see, this is a standard subject-verb pattern. Your subject is the trappers, the fur trappers. Were is the verb. So the fur trappers of the old frontier were, and then your adjectives. What were they? Bold and self-sufficient. But if you look at this second sentence, how bold and self-sufficient were the fur trappers of the old frontier. You see how that has switched up because fur trappers is now here, the fur trappers, which was the subject. So now it's non-standard pattern, it's quite effective, it's for emphasis. How bold and self-sufficient were the fur trappers of the old frontier. Again, you don't want to use that non-standard pattern often, but it's nice for effect here. Here's another two sentences to analyze. We remember longest what we learn from experience. So this is the standard subject verb. We is the subject, remember is the verb, and then the object. What do we remember? We remember what we learned from experience. But take a look at the second sentence over here, and I've changed the order in order to add emphasis to your writing. What we learn from experience, we remember the longest. And you could have put even a comma here. What we learn from experience, we remember the longest. So the whole order is changed, and it adds a nice effect to your writing. Here's an 8th point of adding emphasis. You can use modifiers to add emphasis to your writing. So you can start a sentence with a modifier, or you could end a sentence with a modifier, depending on what you want to do and where you want your emphasis to be. But depending on where you put your modifier, you'll get the attention of your audience because your pattern is different, again, than the standard subject-verb pattern. So if you look at this example here, the jets shot across the sky, buzzing noisily. So here's your subject, the jets, there's your verb, what are they doing? They're shooting across the sky, but you're adding your modifier at the end. So it's a little bit more of a standard order, but take a look at this one. The second sentence, you're starting with the modifier to change up your writing. Buzzing noisily, the jet shot across the sky. So by starting with this modifier, buzzing noisily, you're creating a different mood in your sentence, and it's quite effective. And here's your subject here. That says jets. The jets shot across the sky. Positioning modifiers can change the focus or meaning of your writing. Now take a look at this use of the word almost. In these three sentences, an almost is used as a modifier, and it has been repositioned differently, and in each case, just from where you put that word almost, one small word, one small modifier, has changed the entire focus of the meaning of your writing. Right? Let's follow along. The first one. Almost everyone at our company earned a $200 bonus this year. Now, if you look at where almost is positioned here, this one modifier, this sentence implies that not everyone earned the bonus. Almost everyone did, so a few employees did not get their bonus. So take a look at this second sentence. Everyone at our company almost earned a $200 bonus this year. In this sentence, it's implying that there was a chance that people would get the bonus, but they didn't end up earning it. Everyone at our company almost earned it, but they didn't quite earn it. In other words, nobody ended up earning it. And in this third sentence, almost is used again, and it's completely different meaning. So each sentence, the modifier changes the meaning completely. Everyone at our company earned almost a $200 bonus this year. This final sentence is implying that everyone earned a bonus, but it was under $200. Everyone at our company earned almost $200, but not quite $200. So you need to be careful when you choose your words and position them that you're doing it appropriately, because one small word out of place in a sentence can change the whole meaning of your sentence. So that's why I've included this example of positioning your modifiers and show you how it can change the whole emphasis of your sentence. So, using modifying words called intensifiers for emphasis is very effective. You want to try to use these intensifiers, and here are some examples. So you will make your sentences more effective by using words such as most certainly, obviously. Those are called modifying words, and they're also known as intensifiers. This use of intensifiers can include adjectives, adverbs, and you're adding more description to your sentence, that's your sentences, by using these intensifiers. And I've given you two examples. She most certainly did fix the car. So you could have just said she fixed the car. But if you want to really emphasize the fact that she was the one that fixed the car, you might say she most certainly fixed the car. Or in this one, she was obviously the last one to arrive at the party. You could have just said she was the last one, but you're making a point. Maybe she's often late, she's always late, so you're saying, well, yeah, she was obviously the last one to arrive at the party. So again, by choosing these kinds of intensifiers, and these are adverbs, both these words are adverbs, depending on where you place them in the sentence, you can be adding a new emphasis or a new effect. And the 10th point that I want to mention is you should be using simple yet forceful language. And you need to choose your words very, very carefully. Now keep in mind, a paragraph is not very long, because a paragraph can be between 7 sentences and 12 sentences. So you really need to select each word very, very carefully. You should use a dictionary and a thesaurus to improve or expand your vocabulary, and this will add variety, effect, and emphasis to your writing. And again, I've mentioned this earlier, that you should check out if you would like to improve your use of language. Check out my video in this website called Improving Your Writing, and I've given you a lot of rules and examples of how to improve language in your writing. Okay, the 11th point is try to write using a variety of sentence patterns. Now, sometimes you can include a few short sentences for impact. You don't want to write in a series of short sentences, and you do not want to include incomplete or sentence fragments in your writing. But you should include a variety of sentences, including simple, compound, complex, and compound-complex sentences. I believe that using different sentence lengths creates variety as well as emphasis. Again, there's a video on the website which you'll find very helpful called Sentence Variety or Types of Sentences, and I've introduced you to the 4 types of sentences: the simple, the compound, the complex, and the compound-complex, and I've taught you in that video how to use each of those sentences effectively. It'll add great variety to your writing. The 12th point, I'm getting closer to the end now, is you might occasionally use questions or exclamations in your writing to create emphasis. Now keep in mind that most sentences in English they're statements, they're declarative sentences or statements. But sometimes you may want to add a little bit of variety by including a short question in your writing that, if it's placed appropriately, you can be quite engaging and you can involve the reader. But you have to be careful. You don't want to be asking a lot of questions in one paragraph or even in an essay. But the odd question is nice for effect. It keeps the reader thinking. You might also want to write an exclamatory statement, like using an exclamation mark, but you want to use them carefully and sparingly. And if you use them just every now and then, you can spruce up your writing, enliven it, and keep your reader interested. But don't use a series of exclamation marks in your writing ever. That's weak, but the odd one is good. You just don't want to overuse it. The next point is it's a good idea to repeat a few key words. Not overly repetitive, but a few keywords. So if you're writing a paper on what your goals are, you don't want to keep saying my goals, my goals, my goals. But yes, you can use the word goals maybe twice in the paragraph, or you could switch it up and say my goals and then my aim or my object or my purpose. But it's a good idea to have a repetition of maybe of a word here and there in your paragraph to keep the focus. It keeps your reader focused and it will deliver your message clearly. But again, make sure you don't become too repetitive and use the same word over and over again, because you don't want your reader to be bored with your writing. So there's sort of a fine line there of using a little bit of repetition but not too much, so at least your reader's focused, and also use your thesaurus so you can use a word that's similar in meaning. Now here is a list of transition words that I believe will help you in adding emphasis to your writing. Let's read through the list together. Above all, chiefly, that means it's really important, with attention to, especially, particularly is another good word. This is a particularly good argument. Singularly, to emphasize, specifically, significantly, to be sure, on the positive side, on the negative side. This is the most compelling evidence, you could say. Must be remembered. All good examples of transition words adding emphasis. Notably, indeed. That's very firm. This is indeed. Chiefly, truly, by all means. Oops, I mentioned indeed twice. In fact, and also, even more, in any event, that is, and obviously. All these are good transition words to use. And that is it for this video on the use of emphasis. So please review. There are 13 points that I've included on how to use emphasis in your writing. Review the 2 videos. I think there's some excellent pointers which should help you. If you feel you need further help or you have any questions about any of these points that I've raised, please feel free to contact me, and I do hope that you found this video helpful and that you're really noticing an improvement in your paragraph writing. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.